For those working in corporate America, it is best to protect your ideas at all costs. And in a minute, we will introduce you to the corporate entrepreneur who can explain a little bit better. Going inside of the music business with Empire President Tina Davis. You're in the Enterprise Zone at the Nasdaq. Hello everyone, this is Jabari Young, senior writer at Forbes, and I am at the Nasdaq, joined by Empire President Tina Davis. She is like one of the best people in music. I want to call you like the music muse or something, because like you've created some great talent. I don't want to tell them yet, all the people that's on your roster. You got a #1 song on your on the label that's out. But Tina, thank you so much for joining us. For those who don't know, Empire is a record label and distributor, music publishing company based in San Francisco. Projects released from Kendrick Lamar, responsible for Shaboozey's #1 hit Bar song. And this is the lady that's partly responsible. Tina, thank you so much for joining us at the Nasdaq. Is this your first time here?
This is my first time. It's so nice.
Yes.
So nice.
Well, I'm glad that you can make it. Thank you so much again. Now that we're here, give me a stock, something that's helped you, maybe something you've invested in. What is on the stock? Public stock.
Ooh, actually, I invested in Spotify.
Spotify?
Yes.
Of course, you're in the music business, why not? Yeah, it's a good one.
Spotify and Amazon have done me well.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a good one. I don't have Spotify in my portfolio. I need to put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about UMG stock? No, they're trading in Amsterdam, but no, UMG. No, okay. Well, again, what is your biggest money management advice? Because again, April, Financial Literacy Month, that's a big core in this community for us to be okay. Biggest money management advice? I
mean, you know what? I would have to go with what my father has always told me, and he told me to invest in real estate.
Invest in real estate.
Continue to invest in real estate. Put your money, at my age, put your money into an IRA, 401k if you're inside of a company, and try your best to save as much as possible early on, because retirement is not easy.
Absolutely, I'm telling you. And I love that phrase too, as far as like, putting money away, right? Mm-hmm. That's definitely important. But real estate, because Oprah, I was going to listen to her interview with her, she definitely buys land. Her philosophy is they're not making more of it, so I'm going to invest in it. So maybe we've agreed.
Yes.
Maybe it's a consensus Oprah advice. She would probably say
I would take that.
Yeah, I would take that. Getting to some news, congratulations. You are honoree, Billboard Women in Music, executive list, your achievements, longevity, over 3 decades of music, right? I was looking and I said, man, this sister started Def Jam all the way back then, and it said 31 years, I believe you've been in the business, right? This year, 2025, 31 years. What does that honor mean, right? Billboard Women in Music, executive of your level, like what does that mean right now for you?
Honestly, when I first started, we didn't have award shows, and the executives didn't get as much praise. So it means a lot to me now, knowing that my peers through the decades are still supporting me, you know what I mean? And recognizing that all of the women who have been honored have been doing their jobs in this industry. Yeah.
Has someone maybe helped you along the way? Have you got in? Because I know
several.
We'll get into your history in a minute, but someone that stands out to you that's really helped you along the way in music, who is it?
Every year there's someone different, or every decade I would say. One point it was Leor Cohen. He was always there for me and supported me. He and Russell Simmons, and then obviously Ghazi is always there to support. A gentleman by the name of Ernest Singleton, who used to work at MCA, gave me some of the best advice, actually. He told me, work so hard that you don't have to go apply for a job, they're calling you.
Absolutely.
And I've kept that motto.
Yeah, I was listening to that in the podcast. I love that you said that too. As we sit, right, in the music industry, this is your industry in 2025, right? If you had to describe in one word what the industry is in 2025, is midway point of this decade, because Empire sits in a very interesting place, again, independent distributor and record label. What word would that be to describe the music industry?
I would probably say disruptive.
Disruptive. Why disruptive?
Because I feel Empire, we are disruptive. We've disrupted the industry a little bit to where, the deals are different. They're leaning toward the artist and being artist friendly. I would say because there are so many different genres that are fusing into genres that usually like to be very pure, like a Shaboozey in country. Same thing when it came to when Nas X did it, or, others. But I feel like there's a time now where there are no lines, whether it's EDM and dance, whether it's rock music or country music or even hip hop for that matter. There are really no set purist lines at this point.
I had a conversation with Def Jam CEO and chairman, Tanji Bulligan, and we were talking and going back over the Napster, LimeWire days and just where it was. And I said the same thing I asked you, I asked him, and he was saying how discovery is better, that the distribution methods are better, and that the industry's stranglehold is loosened. Like, that was something that he said.
Yes.
You agree with that?
To that point, exactly, yes. I definitely believe that, because at one point they didn't have an option to do a deal anywhere else.
Yeah.
They couldn't distribute on their own and be in their bedroom and be a superstar in their bedroom, you know? You only could go through a major deal and only be able to be seen through major distribution. And now it's not like that.
Yeah, yeah. Looking at that history, it was a 2021 Wall Street Journal article that popped up, and I was looking at how, you know, UMG is going through their ownership issues and public trading and all that stuff, but it was a line in there and it said the music industry is no longer a one-time transactions hit business, right? It is now a streaming has transformed it into something like a monthly annuity revenue stream business, right? You agree with that at all?
I do agree to a certain extent. I do feel that it is something that is a little monthly, and I do feel that, you know, it's a different time, because at one point you couldn't tell several things. You couldn't tell whether a genre was doing well because it was based on just what records were selling and sound scan at that point. And then now that you're in the streaming world and you're able to see from numbers, from whether it's Spotify or from something called Laminate that we look into, or chart metrics, you get a chance to see what it takes to actually break an artist. And let's say it's a new artist and the artist is not on radio, they're not really known, they have social media platforms, but they're not as big as a Beyonce, right? They could still live comfortably and stream well, and every month have something coming in and checks, and being able to have pretty much have a living based on recording records and having records released. So yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah. What's it like being president of Empire? Like, I mean, what does that feel like, and what is your day-to-day?
Oh, every day is different. There isn't one day that's the same. Actually, it's great. It's a very comfortable setting. We have an incredible, smart team. Everybody else says, oh, we're like a family. You know that saying.
Yeah, yeah.
And usually they're lying. But I have to say we aren't.
Yeah.
We're serious and very diverse, by the way, with everything happening with DEI. We've always been diverse. And we are 52% women. So with Women History Month, I think I should share that. But for the most part, it's amazing, because being in a position where, you know, you have an industry that is looking for talent alongside of us, but their fight is to try and get people to stay within the same norms that they used to have, thinking that they have to have a major, but us standing true and being true to who we are and fighting through that and being disruptors, again, as I should say, it just gives you just a battery in your back to be excited about going to work every day and showing and proving that it can be done, and to help bring talent like a Shaboozey, who was signed to Republic, got dropped from Republic and came to an independent company, help him fulfill his dreams. Like, you can't beat that.
Yeah. That business, though, because I'm glad you had mentioned that, because I was looking at placements and how that all works. And, you know, I was listening to, I love Joe Budden's podcast, and I think he had brought up a comment from L.A. Reid, and they were talking about this music, this red button that gets pushed, right? First of all, is there a button that somebody can push where an artist goes skyrocket? It's not a button, right? Okay, great. So it's true. L.A. was like, no, there's no button. But what is that business? Because where's Empire's place in the ecosystem? Because you look at the back of, or even nowadays on Apple iTunes, and you see at the bottom, okay, who's the label? I'm always interested in that. And you'll see Empire, and then you'll see Republic on one, right? Like, what is the business there for somebody who may not know how this all works? What role do you guys play in the ecosystem?
Well, I mean, when it comes to what's at the bottom of Spotify or Apple or what have you, I mean, we're equivalent to any other major, right? But in this system, we are the independent, completely independent, privately owned, never been distributed by anyone else. We are our own distributor. We're a global company, so we don't have to do deals with sister companies to break artists outside of North America. We are that option. We are the hybrid, you know? We are that company that can give you every single thing any other major record label can give you, but you get to own your own masters. And we do our deals fairly. Our deals are pro artist, they get the lion's share, and you know, our sweat equity is really based on how hard they work as well.
Yeah. If I got like Bar Song Part 2 that I got my right, and it's going to blow up, right? It's Jabari's Bar Song Part. And I have you, Tina Davis, I have Empire on one side and maybe this other record label on the other side. Why am I choosing Empire?
Well, first and foremost, because you want to build generational wealth and you want to be able to own your masters. That's bottom line. Two, because when you sign with a major label, they have to do a deal. If you sign, let's say in North America, they have to do a deal with Europe to break you in Europe. It'll be all over the world, but before they start marketing with that sister company, they have to actually do a deal with that sister company. So let's say you do a deal here and it's 50-50. Well, 50-50 turns out to be 20-20 because 20% of it, 40-40 because 20% of it goes to their distributor, right? So you're on Def Jam, 20% goes to Universal. So then when they go and decide they want to break you at Def Jam in the UK, then they have to do a deal with them, so that breaks it into, they take 20% off of top of that, off of the 40.
Wow.
So now you're cutting your money down.
Yes, to the bare minimum.
To the bare minimum. But here at Empire, we're global. So if you do a 50-50 deal with us here, we're our own distributor, we don't take 20% out. So 50-50 is here, the same 50-50 will happen all around the world. We're not doing a sister company deal. So that's why you should choose to be at Empire as opposed to a major.
Yeah, I love that. Biggest positive surprise about being president of Empire?
How many hands you have to shake and kiss, how many babies you have to kiss.
So you walk around with a lot of hand sanitizer.
A lot of hand sanitizer. I had a friend that was with me during All-Star Weekend, you know, that's festive. And I walked in the door and every 4 seconds I was like, hey, how you doing? Hey, taking pictures. She said, you're better than me. There is no way I could do it. And I said, well, you know, this is part of it.
Part of business.
It's a part of business. And, you know, when you think about, you see the president and they're waving.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like I'm doing that sometimes, like, you know, but.
Like you're in a parade,
Yeah,
right?
like I'm in a parade.
This side. Yeah, I love it.
Exactly, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Biggest negative surprise? We all have positives, but there has to be that negative surprise that you didn't expect, and you might still not like it today.
I don't know if it's so much of a negative. Outside of, I love to travel, but it's a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
I love to travel. Like, I would not change it, but it's a lot of traveling, a lot of living inside and outside of bags. Sometimes moving from city to city with different weather, temperatures. Like now I'm in New York, I leave here and go to Canada. From Canada, I go to LA, and then from LA, I go back to San Francisco, all within a week. You know, and sometimes it's South Africa, and then London, and then back to Nigeria, all within 10 days. That would be the hardest part of it, but I still love it.
Yeah. Be careful in Canada, though. I don't think they like us very much right now. So, you know, I don't want them to take you up there.
Listen, I was just talking to my assistant. I was like, I don't know what they're saying about us getting back into the United States.
Yeah, right.
Because I hear they're looking at our phones.
You may not be able to get back out.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I mean, listen, what do you like in business? Like, what's inside of your portfolio? You know, I know you love real estate, and you have some NVIDIA stock, right? But what else is going on inside? Any businesses? What else is in your portfolio?
You know what? I have a management business that I had started when I left Def Jam.
Yeah.
And I still manage and kind of help to serve a couple of artists and talent. But for the most part, I'm kind of in this space working at Def Jam. I mean, at Empire.
Yeah, Empire's right. You clean that up, right?
See?
Like, you got to clean it up. Well, I'm glad you said that because this is a perfect segue to go back in time. Right? You started at Def Jam, obviously. You're at Empire now. But you grew up in Vallejo, California, right?
Yes.
What was that like for you?
Vallejo was it's a lot of talent from Vallejo.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't aware, like Sly Stone is from Vallejo. Confunction is from Vallejo.
Sly is not from Vallejo?
Sly is from Vallejo.
Wow.
Yeah, he moved at 3 months. So you could say he's from Vallejo, right? Her is from Vallejo. E40 is from Vallejo. Like I said, Confunction. There's so many. La Russell, I don't know if you know about La Russell. He's our new talent that's out there as well. But the Bay Area itself is full. It's cultural. It's full of talent.
Yeah.
And it was exciting when I was younger. You know, as I'm older a little bit, it's a different environment, and it's still great. But yeah, it's great.
What'd your parents do?
My mother worked at the Napa State Hospital, and my father was an iron worker.
Yeah, what'd you learn from them?
What I learned from my father is he used to tell us, get up early in the morning, get up, you're burning daylight. And to stay consistent, be a good person, God-fearing person, and to work so hard that people offer you different jobs and offer you to be a part of whatever they're building.
Yeah. How about mom? What you learn from her?
Mom, to care and love and not to judge. My mother never judged, It didn't matter how much you had, how little you had, how big or small, or how you felt. She always cared about everyone and didn't judge them for what they had or who they were.
Social media wasn't around now. I don't know.
No,
It was different.
And I still to this day don't judge.
Yeah.
And I do see a lot of things on there.
But don't you be wanting to say something sometimes in your head?
No,
right?
sometimes I'll even type it and I'm like,
delete it. I did that not so I did it. It helps
Reel
you
that
get
back
it out. But then you don't have to post it, right?
You just hope you don't push the button and you post
No,
it.
I don't. I screenshot it though, so I can see it, and that's it. But I read somewhere that when you were 5 years old or I'm sorry, maybe not 5 in elementary school, but you charged people 5 cents to hear you sing at a concert. Like that's how you understood the supply demand.
That's so crazy. I was telling someone this the other day. Yeah,
But you couldn't sing, but they would still pay you
I was
5
horrible.
cents.
I was horrible, but I had a security guard too.
You paid a security guard?
I didn't pay her.
Oh.
She was the yard duty.
Oh,
so the
okay.
yard duty would escort me to my show.
Man, you were the ultimate celebrity then.
Oh, be clear, I had dancers and background singers and everything.
In elementary school, you're doing this?
Elementary school, it was like a little grassy knoll, and they would all sit on the grassy knoll, and I would charge them 5 cents to come.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you say, what is your purpose and the patterns that led to wherever you're going, that was an example of that for me.
What were you looking at when supply and demand? Like, what were you trying to study as an elementary? Because listen, when I was in elementary, I was interested in like 2 things. Going to play Turtles, what was my new toy? The Mr. Softy coming around later on that even but you were sitting up here charging and trying to understand what supply and demand.
Honestly, I believe it was because my parents really were into music and they took us to a Jackson 5 concert. By the way, that was a serious nosebleed section that I was in. I was up against the wall, like the cement was hitting us behind our heads. But just the experience of knowing we had to get the tickets and then get in line and then you get inside and you go and then noticing that you're way up here and everybody's down there and me asking, I want to be down there, Dad. And he's like, yeah, that's too expensive for us, babe. You can't go. I think it kind of put in my mind of, oh, okay, so that's the process. You pay for the ticket, you get a great show, but the more money you pay for the ticket, the closer you get to the artist. So, I felt like because I had the grassy knoll and every seat was a good seat, like an amphitheater, that I could charge everybody 5 cents.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to be a star.
Yeah. Was that your first concert at Jackson 5?
Yes, it was.
What was it like? You saying a Jackson 5? I see the movie all the time. I'm Jackson 5 American Dream. It must have been crazy seeing Michael and Tito and all those guys up there on stage.
They were really tiny because I was in nosebleed section.
But hearing it though.
But it was amazing. It was amazing. I danced and sang every song the whole time. Wow. My cousin and I wore kind of matching outfits, but we all forked our hair out so we had afros like Michael.
Yeah.
So we were doing a little dances out there, doing all the routines with them. It was amazing.
And then you get to age 13, right? And you sitting at home and you watching Crush Groove. And Crush Groove, you see Russell Simmons and you see Rick Rubin and you hear the A&R, story. And this is what prompted you that you wanted to go and do A&R, to find and discover talent, right? Is that where you fell in love with the music business at that point? Like, I know my purpose. I know I love music. I have a clear understanding of supply and demand, right? And now I know what I want to do, A&R.
I will say this. At that point, I put a name on it and a title on it because I knew I wanted to find talent and I knew I wanted to have something to do with the making of the music. Right. I had played classical piano for 8 years, but after I got into boys and starting to get out, I stopped. I quit, which I wish I had kept. So after a while, I sort of like realized that wasn't, what I was going to do. But at Def Jam, I don't know, it felt like Def Jam was where I wanted to be from Crush Groove because that's all they said, and I felt like that was the only thing that I knew about, so that's all I wanted to do. Yeah. But when I went to college and started to be an anchor, I kind of forgot all that. And I kept trying to figure out, like, is this is what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life? Do I want to chase people down with a microphone and ask them questions all day?
You see my problem.
Listen, I understand it.
It's hard.
But it's fulfilling, because when I did it, I loved it.
Depending on the day.
I loved it, but I realized that, you know what? This is what I've been doing all along. I was giving concerts. When my father asked me what I wanted for my straight A's, I told him I wanted piano lessons. I danced for E40 and some of the rappers in the Bay Area, hip hop dancing. So it was always in me. So that's when I realized, like, okay, I'm going to go after that dream from 13 and focus on that.
Yeah, as you're navigating Grambling State University, right? Well, first of all, why did you decide to go to that HBCU in Grambling State? Mass communication was your major, but why did you decide to go to that school, being from Vallejo, California, and you're going to go all the way to Grambling State? Why that school?
Well, first and foremost, all of my friends went there.
There you go.
So I decided that I wanted to be around friends so that I could be, you know, feel a little safe. And I just always heard about the football. My father and my brothers were always talking about Grambling and Eddie Robinson. Oh, you have to go to Grambling, Grambling. That history. Yeah. So that's what made me go to Grambling State.
And as you're navigating the college campus, right, what's your soundtrack to life? Like, what's the songs that's keeping you moving?
Back then, you're making me go back.
That was 91, 92, right?
No, it was more like 90, 89 and 90. Ooh, I'm not sure. I can't remember some of those songs that we were listening to back then.
Oh, man.
I know.
You got to start thinking about the VH1 Soul.
I know. It was so many.
BT, Donnie Simpson episode.
It was so many, but I'll tell you, Erykah Badu was in college there when I was there.
At Grambling?
Yes,
wow.
And she was a rapper, actually. She wasn't singing, and she had a group. And I was always at the talent shows trying to be part of whoever, you know, whoever was in there making the decisions. So we kind of, you know, we had a lot of sororities and fraternities there. So music was all around us.
Yeah.
I can't even recall what our soundtrack was. It's so sad that I can't off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, I said for you to be in music, that's
bad.
That's bad.
It's really bad. But you got to give me credit. I've been through 30 years of, you know what I mean?
Well, you know what though?
And I've been creating records.
You have, but I tell you what, your soundtrack probably is one of the soundtracks. One of the pieces of music is probably something that everybody loves, right? Because 1993, you get a Def Jam and Russell Simmons instructs you to go find a song. And as you're scattering the tapes, you find one of the hottest songs that was ever made, and Montell Jordan's "This Is How We Do It," right? And that song goes on to just blow up. When you think about that era when you were in music and you were identifying that song, like, what comes to mind?
You know, the funny thing is, you know, Lior and Russell had parted ways with the guy that hired me. And that guy was Paul Stewart, and he found Coolio and several other incredible, talented people. And when they parted ways, he told me to go find the records and, you know, move into another office. And when I listened to it, and when I got the job, my job was as an A&R admin. So I had to clear all of the samples. I had to make sure all the credits and things were done. And Def Jam at that time didn't have a great relationship with most of the people who owned samples, who owned the records. Specifically, Mtume was really pissed off that we had used a record and didn't pay him. So as I was going through and I found this record, I found that it was Children's Story, which was our master.
That's right.
So I said, this is easy to clear. This record is amazing. Yeah. And it just so happens that Montell Jordan was at my cousin's house 3 or 4 weeks ago, didn't tell me he was rapping or singing. He just was playing dominoes. We were playing dominoes, having drinks. And so when I saw it, I was like, Montell, okay, this is Kismet. This is God telling me that I need to send this. And as I listen to the record, it's undeniable. You listen to it now.
Yeah.
It gets you moving.
It is. I mean, they still play it in clubs. They still play it. It's on
commercials. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Yeah. So it was something that was kind of easy for me to kind of pinpoint to say this is going to work. Yeah. You know?
What were you learning about how to break a record, how to break a star? Because you talk about people who were unknown. It was him. You didn't know who he was sitting dominoes, right? And then you find out he was. What did you learn about that?
You know what? I realized because when I was there in that position, I did everything. So I called the Lakers. I was like, listen, I have this song called This Is How We Do It. It's getting ready to blow up. I didn't know it was going to blow up at that time.
Did they hang up on you?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
Because I was trying to be professional. I was in my 20s, trying to act like I was in my 40s, right? So I am the head of Def Jam on the West Coast, and I just want to let you know we have a song called This Is How We Do It that I think would be great on your towels, because you know how they should have the little towels. This is how we do it. This could be your anthem. Can I send the record to you for you to just listen to? We figure out a way that we can clear it. We own the master. There's a sample in it, so there's no problem. I went through the whole process, and they actually used it.
Wow. So the Lakers gave you a nice little break then.
They gave me a break by using it. You know, they paid us a little bit for it, but for the most part, that was part of marketing. That was part of, you know, us promoting Montell. Him working everywhere and traveling everywhere, going. At that time, it was only two mediums. You either were on television or you were on the radio at that point. So we took him all around the world to the radio, had him do our little Chitlin circuit as much as we could. You know, it was hard at the beginning because you have to just kind of get people to understand this is a 6'8" guy who's dancing, and he does R&B, but he looks like he should be rapping. He's from LA. So after a while, it just shot out, and there was nothing we can do.
Did you have a jetpack on you after that? Like, was it your confidence was there? Because I mean, again, to see that song and to see what it did, still lasting today, over 30 years, and now, like, you know, did it help you in your career, like confidence-wise?
It helped me, and it also helped them know that I know how to find a record.
Yeah.
So it helped me completely. After that, I started doing soundtracks. So they knew I knew how to, one, close an album because I was already doing admin, but two, they also knew I knew how to pick a record. So they started giving me more and more and more.
And he ended up on the Nutty Professor soundtrack.
Absolutely.
What happened to the good soundtrack? Nobody makes any good ones anymore. I mean, we had the Wait and Exhale soundtrack, the Nutty Professor, like, nobody, where's the good soundtracks? Is that like a part of the business that disappeared, or am I not looking?
It did kind of disappear, and part of it was for several reasons. Part of it was because some of the film companies wanted to own the records, right? So they would do deals to where they would own majority of the records, which is not conducive for a label. And it got to a point to where it was just so expensive. Like Nutty Professor 1 and 2, that was easy a $2 million, you know, investment outside of marketing and promoting it. That was paying for all those artists to be on those albums, you know? So it got to be expensive. And even now, when you think about movies, they don't do cross-promotion as much. Back then, you see Nutty Professor film soundtrack,
all of it.
Soundtrack on Def Jam Records. That would be a part of it. You go into the theater, you would see that. You don't see that anymore.
Is that an opportunity, though? You mentioned disruption, right? Is that an opportunity for an entrepreneur to figure out how to do it? Isaac Hayes, I love this brother.
Yes.
He's the third. One of the reasons he came up in his career was he said he ditched trying to go out and be an artist. He started making music for film projects and things of that nature, and that's how he made his revenue. Do more people maybe should try to utilize that route?
I think it's a healthy investment and of your time. I think, yes, it is. You know, it works for some. Some can do it and some can't.
Yeah.
He can produce and write, and he can, you know, perform, so it's a lot easier for him.
Yeah. When the name...
And he has a great catalog.
Yeah, he does. His dad does too. I get on his dad all the time, man. I told Isaac, listen, Pursuit of a Pimpmobile, I know it's a crazy name. It's one of my favorite songs of Isaac Hayes. I put it on. I just, jet fuel in my back. You know, it goes up. When you hear the name Chris Brown, what comes to mind? I mean, you had mentioned him earlier. I didn't say his name because I wanted to wait for this particular question when you were talking about Oprah, but you had managed him, right? You helped Chris Brown, and you helped America, the world, find out who this brother is. And, you know, managing an artist is very, very tough.
Yes, it is.
It's very tough. I know to manage is very hard. But when you hear his name and you see everything that he's done, everything he's been through, what comes to mind today?
You know, it's so crazy. I have so many, but one of the first would be Misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
Yes. One would be Misunderstood because he's such a, like, literally, if you put him in any setting, God forbid, if it's children, you just see him melt into this like ball of love, right? But that's one word. But another would be just like a creative genius. He is really, really talented. More talented than people know now. Because when I was working with him, you know, he would fly and jump over tables, and he'd fly through the sky in performances and stuff like that. That was he wanted to do that. But after a while, he realized that doing all of that didn't get him a Grammy, it didn't get him any extra, you know, love or support. So he kind of scaled it back a little bit. But overall, I feel like he's misunderstood because he's an extremely talented guy. He was an 18-year-old when a lot of those things happened to him and to her. And it wasn't correct, it wasn't right, but he definitely has grown. He's put time into being a better person. He's put time into his children. His daughters and his son are adorable, and he loves his family. But that would be two of the things that I would say. Creatively, as an entertainer, there's not too many people who can touch him.
Yeah, well, listen, he won a 2025 Grammy for Best, R&B Album of the Year. When you saw that, you heard that he won, what was your reaction?
I was happy. I texted him, I texted his team and said congratulations, and it's about time, you know? We got one back in the day, I think it was 2012, for Fame album.
Yeah.
But he's been doing this for a long time, and he's only in his 30s. So, and he's still a purveyor of taste in the music industry, when it comes to music and the direction of music. So he has a long time ahead of him as well.
Yeah. I read a quote, 2018 interview that you did, and you said that his mind goes 1,000,000 miles a minute.
Yeah.
Chris Brown's mind, 1,000,000 miles a minute. How does that translate into good business? How is he in business?
Well, I can say this. He creatively comes up with something probably every 20 minutes, some idea that...
That's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. And when he was younger, I had to spend time trying to occupy his mind with different creative things. He needed creative outlets. So whether it was painting or basketball or having him look at movies about or read about Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, all of the people, Michael Jackson for that matter, going into neighborhoods and learning their dances and being when at that point Crump was coming up, so all he wanted to do was go to LA and crump. So at 2 in the morning, sometimes it was like, okay, that's when they're crumping? Okay, I'm getting up, we're going crumping, but that, I think, you just gotta occupy someone's mind like that. And if you, especially as a child, a lot of kids are misdiagnosed. They think, oh, this is a bad kid. He won't stay still in school, or math, he's not doing great in math. But creatively, he's in his book drawing things, and he's writing out poems, or she's writing out poems. Sometimes it just needs to be redirected. And for Chris, he fortunately had a mother and a family that nurtured his creativity and allowed him to be able to blossom and to be as great as he is now.
Yeah. 100%. Shaboozey, what's it like working with him? I mean, he was at our Under 30 Summit out in Cincinnati. Phenomenal brother. I mean, he had the crowd rocking there. And, you listen to this song, every time I hear it, it has now tied for Billboard's Hot 100, right? It's tied for with Lil Nas X's Old Town Road. Did you, when you heard that song, expect it? It's hard to predict the #1, right? But did you hear that it had potential, or did you not see that it was going to be rocket fuel like that and get all the way #1?
Well, I tell you, that same question you asked me about, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
That feeling you get is called frisson. You just feel it. I quest for it every day. I want it every day that something is going to happen. That feeling I got the first time I heard that record. And we were, at that time we were pushing our A&R person, close the album, it's taking you too long, come on. Yeah. We need to get the album in and put it out. And Shaboozey came with that record at the end and was like, this is something I just did. See if you guys like it. First of all, everyone that heard
that
it,
was nonchalant, like this.
See if you like it, and we were like, no,
Yeah.
oh, yes,
wow,
please. And we cleared the sample immediately. Fortunately, our sample clearance team knocked it out, and we knew it would be major. We knew it. It's his Thriller, though, because the rest of his album is just as good, and it's not necessarily as novelty-ish as that record. It's a strong body of work. He, as a person, is just an amazing guy.
Yeah. What's going on behind the scenes at Empire or at any label? You've been at Def Jam, so you've seen records blow. When those records start to catch fire like that, and you can see that it's viral, it's on TikTok, everybody's using it, the commercials, what's happening behind the scenes? Are y'all pressing all types of getting placements? Like what's going on?
We are constantly meeting and trying to make sure that we're opening, filling up the void. Anything that is not being done, we're trying to fill that void, get tent poles, making sure that outside of Empire, right? Because it's like a track meet. Once you hand the baton to management and to the agent and to everyone else, the publicist and everyone else, they have to run and still win the race. So after we saw it getting to a certain point and and our team, Bria was placing him everywhere. We were like, okay, let's get the whole squad. Let's get his whole team, his management team, which he's a part of Range. Jared and Abbas are amazing managers. We all got on and just mapped it out, you know, and planned it. And all around the world. It wasn't just, like I said, going back to that major and you know, independent situation with Empire. We had at least 70 people on a call trying to plan out what we were going to do for each territory.
Yeah. Was social media still relevant in that point? Because
yes.
I mean, the algorithms have changed.
Always relevant.
It is.
It's always relevant.
Yeah. What makes it still so impactful? Because you look down, TikTok is still going through their issues, right? I mean, the algorithms have changed on Instagram. I don't know what they're doing. X, whatever. But you know, what's going on with the social media thing that can impact? Because that's a major distribution channel for you guys now, right? Mm-hmm. And here we are in this very interesting environment, misinformation, disinformation, maybe people not trusting social media as much. Is maybe music immune from that?
No, I won't say it's immune from it because, you know, it's open for every social media person or people to comment on and what have you. But it's important because, you know, like I said, at one point you could go to radio and you could go to television and you reach the masses, right? You'd saturate the market by being on radio. Well, everybody doesn't listen to radio. Everybody's not on Instagram. Everybody's not on Facebook. Everybody's not on, you know, TikTok. So you have to service each one to make sure that you're reaching every single person that at that moment. You never know what people are doing at the time. Yeah. So you have to use social media to continue to saturate.
Yeah, I know the funnel is kind of turned upside down, right? Again, getting back to the point where the stranglehold's loosened, and so if you had one way to do it, the funnel was coming out. Now it's turned upside down. Do you wish it go back to like that one? Because fragmentation, I'm thinking fragmentation, discoverability. Like, listen, iTunes is great, right? But I have to go and search, and I don't always see my favorite artist there. Like Larry June may pop up one day, and then his next album may not, right? I don't know, and I don't mind searching. I come from the Dat Piff days, right? But I mean, that discoverability, the fragmentation, it is an issue for me.
It could be, right? But at the same time, it also introduces you to things that you don't know about, that you fall in love with. Yeah. You know what I mean? So everything has a pro and con. But no, I don't want it to go back. I would like for it to all live in harmoniously. You know, I do want to support radio. Radio isn't as important in the breaking of an artist. It is part of the marketing of the artist. Yeah.
Is that still true? And because there are local areas, like, I mean, I look up in a place like Columbus, Ohio, right? Mm-hmm. Their local radio up there is very, very powerful. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine was a DJ.
Yeah.
But is radio, because radio, if you listen to Nielsen, they say for Black America, radio is still important. Like, Black America still relies on that. Now, I know Black America is not, you know, music is bigger than just that particular community, but regardless, it's still an important part of the ecosystem, right? Is radio maybe, people not appreciating it the same way? Because people love to hear themselves on the radio. Radio's still around. Like I tell people, if the price is right, it's still on the air, right? It's because there's a demographic there. Radio is still important, but I guess it's not as important as far as breaking the artist as you said. Can that go back though? Like, can radio reach that?
I don't know about it going back, but I do feel like it has to kind of transform into something that can just be used in a different way. Like I said, it's marketing, right? So it is still valuable.
Right.
There is a need for it to saturate certain, especially the Bible Belt countries or states. There are several places that, like you said, still want to have powerful radio stations. Mm-hmm. They still listen to radio now. But it's just how you use it when it comes to breaking an artist.
Yeah, it's different.
It's just different.
One of the things that I was very impressed with, again, with your history is you had an idea. It was called Def Soul years ago, right? Mm-hmm. And Def Soul, you had this concept of taking hip hop and, you know, not making, or taking R&B songs and trying to differentiate them, right? Because, you know, if they was coming from Def Jam was R&B, everybody just assumed it's rap. So you come up with this idea of Def Soul, and a colleague of yours at the time stole the idea, went to management and tried to take it for themselves, and then the boss heard, like, no, Tina already came up with this, and it made you be more protective of your ideas.
Yes.
How are you navigating corporate America after this happens to you? Are you like not talking to your colleagues anymore? You're not sharing your ideas? We all have to share our ideas from time to time, but what is happening to you, and how does that shape you to still get to where you are? Because that can be a demoralizing situation, especially if that person goes with that idea, which sometimes happens, right? Mm-hmm. And gets that job. Like, you're looking back like, no, that was mine. How did you, what changed? How did you navigate from then on out?
I mean, usually after that, I realized that I needed to trademark my ideas before I gave out the idea, as well as I'm more selective about who I talk to about the vision.
Yeah.
You know, because that person, I knew that person was someone that would take an idea, but I just trusted them in that moment because I was so excited about the idea that I came up with. But yeah, it just made me a little more apprehensive and selective on who I share that idea with.
Yeah. Did you develop any trait along the way that maybe helped you in your career climb?
From that?
Yeah.
You know, there's a saying that Chris Lighty used to tell me all the time.
Bless his life, yeah.
Yes, bless his life. To fly below radar, when you're ready to pop up, have something to show. Or when something great happens, pop up so that they can see what you're doing. But go back below radar and build below radar so that they don't stop you from where you're trying to get.
Yeah, that's powerful. I remember that was something like George Clinton said something like that, but he was very different. He said every time he had success, he was like, you know, going to the bathroom. You go to the bathroom, you do number 2, flush it, and then you leave, right? That was how you looked at it, right? Don't try to stare at it. You're not staring at it. Flush it down and let it's over.
Keep it going, yes.
Keep it going, right? Colorful way, but it was still effective.
Different way to say it.
Different way to say it. I like that.
I'd rather use my version.
That's what I'm saying. I like your version too, but sometimes I need the George Clinton. You know what I
understand.
Anything in store as far as the future? What's going on for 2025, 2026 when it comes to Empire? What are you guys doing? What's interesting? What do people have to look out for?
We're continuing to expand our global footprint. We have offices in the UK and South Africa, Nigeria. We have offices in, like I said, the UK, San Francisco. And we're just really kind of building out other parts and other genres that we have. A lot of people thought that Empire was just hip hop for a long time until Shaboozey broke. And they're like, oh, you guys do country. We've been doing country. Kane Brown was at Empire before he went to Columbia. There were several artists that were already there prior that were doing things other than hip hop. So we're continuing to expand. We have incredible rock groups that are coming down the pipeline. But we're working hard on trying to make sure that people understand that we're not just that we're not a part of a major, because a lot of people think we're a part of a major, and we are not. We are solely independent.
That's right.
I saw a gentleman the other day say that. We were a part of a major, and we're no longer an independent because we're distributed by Universal. We would never been distributed by Universal. There are 3 people who are at the top, and that's me, Ghazi, and Nima. And there are no board of directors. We move, we're liquid, we are able to move when we need to, but for the most part, we're just trying to expand and show people what we have.
Yeah, if you are a music entrepreneur, someone who maybe have a project or something and they see Tina Davis walking down the street, hey, you did the Forbes show, right? The Enterprise Zone, and they see you and they want to give you a project. What do you want to hear? I know you're one of those individuals where you like to feel it. You want to hear, you want those goosebumps, right? Analytics play a part too.
Yes.
I do understand that, but what do you want to hear from that project that's going to make you jump?
I want to hear that they have a direction and they're talking about something that will be important to the world, right? Because for me, I feel like A&R, it has a lot to do with the psychology and the sociology of that person and the things that they represent.
Yeah.
And I want to hear great records. I don't want to hear one record and then the rest of them are album cuts. I need to hear at least 4. 4. If you give me 10, I want 4 good ones. Because sometimes with virality, you find somebody that breaks on TikTok and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is so amazing, it's doing great. And then you listen to 4 other records, you're like, oh, but, ooh, the rest of it is not great.
Yeah.
I want to see, because I can't just take it from the music. I got to see you in action. I want to see a video. I want to see you actually performing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need to see that.
Stage presence.
Stage presence.
Yeah.
And you might not be great at it, but I want to see you try.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? When I found Chris, he had stage presence. He wasn't great, but we did artist development to get him to that point to where he is now. So it's just shining up that diamond and that star.
Yeah, absolutely. Look ahead now, some closed questions, right? Concise, quick. Start with the $1 million question, right? I think you know how you made your first million, right? In music, right? You can't manage an artist like Chris Brown and not have $1 million. I refuse to believe it. How did you spend your first $1 million?
On a home.
On a home.
I told you, real estate.
Yeah, real estate. Well, you wouldn't do anything different then. I love that.
No.
I love that. So no regrets. Gen AI, when you hear the phrase, what comes to mind? Again, music is people talking about it, has the ability to copy people, make music its own. Like when you hear that phrase, what comes to mind?
Copyright.
Why copyright?
Because it's important that we figure out how to monetize it and make sure that everyone who the AI is pulling from is being paid. It's not removing the talent. It's not removing the writer and the producer, or for that matter, the actor, the actress. It's just supplementing as opposed to removing.
Yeah. Look around the world, right? And if you had to pick a country where you would invest in, not Tina Davis, the Empire president, but Tina Davis, you, what country, what continent would that be? Africa?
Africa.
Yeah, I figure Afrobeats is big, and I know
You
y'all
already
are
knew
invested in
that.
it. That's why I said it's probably Africa.
Africa, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Forbes BOK, we have our leadership platform, a great platform here. Give me your top 3 books that have inspired you to perform your best or motivated you.
Purpose-Driven Life would be one. Thick-Faced Black Heart. That's another that was very, very important. And Who Moved My Cheese?
I love that. Spencer Johnson, Who Moved My Cheese? Yes. Peaks and Valleys, The President. I love Spencer. I gave that to my 11-year-old. I said, you gotta read this book.
Everybody has to read that book at least once.
Adaptability.
It is, and it's a short read.
Absolutely.
But it really helps.
I read it in the bookstore, and then I went to go buy it.
Exactly.
Right? It was in Barnes & Noble bookstore. That's good. Close you out on this, my favorite business book, Good to Great, and take you back to your former roots. What's the difference between a good A&R and a great one?
A great A&R understands that psychology and sociology is important.
Yeah.
A great A&R doesn't wear their heart on their sleeves and doesn't take anything personal, because it could be pretty tough dealing with an artist when they're in that vulnerable state in the recording process and trying to pull things out of them when the whole world is happening around them, good or bad, depending on when they come in that studio, how they're feeling. You still have to be able to pull that off. A great A&R is knowing and networking within the industry, knowing what's coming. Being able to know where music is going in the next 6 months to a year is the ear of a great A&R person.
I love it. I love it. Now you might be going home and want to watch Crush Groove. And so I can learn how to be an AR. Maybe find me at Montell Jordan, and I'll be right next to you. An office right, Jabari Young, co-president Empire. I like the sound.
That sounds good.
That sounds very good.
I'm not mad at it.
I love it. Tina, thank you so much for the time, the insight. I really appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank
the rest of the
you.
way at Empire. I'm sure you guys are going to be doing some major stuff. Bar Song Part 2, you know, all that stuff over there.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait to
I
hear it.
appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Enterprise Zone here at the Nasdaq. Tina Davis, Empire. Thank you for watching.